Hey guys, Jamie here. So we haven't done one of these videos for quite a long time. So tissue culture and in dahlias. So it's something we've been seeing overseas for a couple of years, and it seems to be getting a bit of a trend at the moment. We looked at doing it 2 years ago, and then it just went into the too hard basket, particularly when you think about the lab environment we need to try and stimulate. But while we were away over Christmas, I spent a bit of time looking at it a bit further. So here we go, we're doing our first trial. I'm not expecting it to be a success, but I thought you'd like to come along on the journey. So talk about the equipment we've got. So we've got our microscope, which we can have an LED screen. This is really cool and it wasn't that expensive, and it can store on an SD card and connect to your laptop as well. So if you want to do a presentation and show the mites and bags and things up close, really good. But it also lets us see what's going on right at the cells, in the cells at the dahlias at micro level. We've got gloves and scissors because we're going to need them. We've got antibacterial wipes to keep everything looking really clean and healthy. Gloves. We've got labels for our jars. We have our still air box, which I'll move this out of the way. It's literally just a storage container, and all that's doing is trying to remove, stop any particles of air moving around while we're doing it, so we can try and stay as clean as possible. We have our spray bottle, which has got methylated spirits in, so we can sanitize. On our right, we've got a nail salon tool sterilizer, so that's got glass beads in it, and it keeps it really warm, so that when we're in between doing things with our instruments, we can put them in there and keep them clean as well. We have distilled water, because that's obviously sterile and it hasn't got any minerals. So it won't be sterile, but it's got no minerals in it, and then we can sterilize that as we go. We have our little micro stirrer. You see that little pill-shaped thing? That's a stirrer, and it uses a magnetic field and it'll stir while we're making things up. So at the moment, that's all of our setup done. And I'm going to jump into trying to take our very first explants, we call them. So when we remove part of the plant and we're going to try doing not a full meristem, but up here in the very, very top canopy, just as this is starting to form. So you got these two leaves, I'm going to pull them back. And if you can see on the camera, just give me one sec. This little bit right here, we're going to try and grow that, because inside that is our meristem, but we're going to go slightly bigger just for our first couple tests and just see how this whole process works. The biggest thing for the moment is not trying to get plants which are growing and healthy and success. It's to make sure we don't get that cross contamination and make sure we can try and get through. But I'm also going to try and take an internode. So where you've got the two nodes coming out the side here, we should be able to take a little section out, and then that'll give it virtually two meristems in there, which would also grow as well. So we're going to try that. So from one plant, I'm going to try 3 different areas. This is one of our own cuttings, our own breeding plants. It's called Fireworks at the Creamery. We're hopefully going to release that next year. That's now 4 years old. So we're growing some stock this year. We're trying to build our stock this year. So good one to try through this method. So let's go on with it. All right, so I've got some couple of antiseptic wipes. I probably don't need to be too clean at this point, because we are going to clean our plant tissue for the sterile blade. So we're still in the prep stage, I guess. So we'll grab our little cuttings so we know where we want. So I'm just going to make an incision in there so you can see. Like so. Get rid of you. Now from what I saw, is we'll take pretty much like, a bit like I was doing a leaf cutting, apart from I'm not going to leave the leaves on this guy. So we'll get rid of him. Peel back my leaf tissue. Might just break actually, hopefully. Like so. I'm going to cut that in half. And then, like I said before, I wanted to try and take out. So I've got 2 there already, and I'm thinking I may get another 2 out of this. I'll see, it might be 3. I'm actually going to leave it just as 3 because in theory, in here, we've got this meristem I was talking about, which is ideally where we want to get to under a microscope. But I've also got 2 little new growths on either side. So that's taking me 3 areas for that plant to start multiplying from, plus these 2, which are the side ones. So we're going to put these in our water. I'll try and do this all double-handedly now. So in our little magnetic stirrer, I've already made up a solution of 1 part bleach to 9 parts water, and I've put a tiny little bit of dish soap in. So this is polysorbate 20, which is what they recommended online, but I believe any kind of neutral dish soap will work as well. And just a tiny drop. It's not then to be a cleaner. It's helped to break the surface tension of the water. So we'll drop these babies in. Good luck, little guys. Turn on my stirrer. And we're going to keep it in there for about 5 minutes. So whilst that's going, I'm just going to get the next stage ready. So we just said we're going to have 3. So I'm going to do fireworks. Fireworks. And these are going to go on the outside of my jars. And we might put the date on too. So I think it's the 12th today of the 2nd, 2026. Because then at least we know, because like your memory, my memory is atrocious, and I will forget when we took them. Get rid of that stuff. Now I've got a pair of tweezers so we can get in and out of our jars and move them around. These don't need to be as sterilised because they're not going to be doing the work inside the box. There's a pair already in there which have been autoclaved, and they're still wrapped up in foil and then inside a bacterial wipe to keep them as clean as I possibly can. But I'm just going to give these a wipe down with our bacterial wipe. Same as the scalpel for the next use. I'm only focusing on that bit where it's going to make contact with our explants, they're now called. I'm going to give it a spray of methylated spirits. Okay, so that's been going for about 6 to 8 minutes now. And I did think just after I started I should put a lid on so I can shake it upside down like this, because this top section was not going to get sanitized. So just as a thought. So then we need to clean these again, but we're going to put them back into sterilized water. There's going to be no solution in there, and we're going to rinse them effectively. Again for about 20-30 seconds, but we're going to repeat that a couple of times. So I'll come back to you when we've done that. And you see my stirrer stopped working. That's interesting. Not sure exactly why. I'm going to have to look at that. Not sure. It stopped working, but it's working again. So then we're just going to go and transplant them into another glass. In there, there's 2 of them there. Little tip. Put them in there. Got another 20 seconds in there, then we'll move on to the last one, and then we're ready to start playing, guys. We'll take our magnet, which wants to get stuck, of course, to my things. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and I think at this point, here we go. So I've got to put my gloves on. I always feel like something out of Rocky Horror when you put your gloves on, don't you? Oh, Rocky. And I've got my exoplants, as you can see here. I've got my tweezers. I'm just going to give them, I'm not going to use these ones again because I've got some really good sanitized ones inside the box. And I'm not 100% sure this first bit of how you get them into the box without contamination. So I'm going to try something by using an antiseptic wipe, fresh out the bag. I'm going to put my little babies into it. Pull them up. Give them a quick tap. A good look. Drop them in the box. Now, my first 3 jars, I don't think me some. Spray them as much as I can. Spray my gloves. A bit of my forearms. Nothing like smelling like alcohol in the morning. I've got to go to work after this. The police think I'll be an alcoholic. Right. Slightly further towards me so I can get my arms in. Then we try and not breathe for a couple of minutes. Might want it to be a bit bigger. That's alright. I'm a left-hander, so I'm feeling like I'm really out of sorts in how I should be working. Alright, so first little guy. Just want to make good contact with our gel. Just sits in there. Like so. I'm going to put our tools straight into this sanitation box. And we're going to close our lid nice and firmly. Put them over there. Get our second one. Yeah. Let's go in. What I can tell you is, want to make good contact with that glue. Oops. here. And in theory, we've just done our first tissue cultures together. So we've got our 3 little jars. Let's see, just sitting in there. Now a bit weird, we've still actually got some water in there, which is from it being in the pressure cooker. Now, not sure if that's going to cause any issues or not. That's something I'm a bit worried about, but the instructions said to pressurize them without the lids on, just the lid sitting on top. So steam's obviously going to get in there, and then it's got to depressurize, and you tighten them as you open it. So following those instructions, it's evident you're going to get some moisture left in those jars when you seal them. But we'll see. So I'm going to keep going, do some more, and then I'll show you what we've got at the end. So be careful, we've got to make sure we label these. I'm just going to let them dry off before I do so, because we've had the alcohol spray on them. But so far so good.